Title: 14 Longevity Secrets for a Healthy Life to 100. Script: I want to speak plainly for a few minutes about living a long time without spending the last part of your life weak, dependent, frightened, or waiting around to be helped. There is a great deal of noise around this subject now. Every week there is a new expert, a new powder, a new routine, a new trick, a new machine, a new morning ritual that is supposed to add years to your life. Most of it is sold too hard, explained too much, and made to sound more mysterious than it is. So let me be careful at the start. I am not your physician. I am not diagnosing anything. I am not telling you to stop medication, ignore symptoms, or replace medical care with a video. If you are under treatment, if you have a condition, or if something in your body is not right, you take it to Dr. John first. What Dr. John tells you outranks anything said here. What I can do is this. I can give you the plain things that matter most over a long stretch of years, not the glamorous things, not the expensive things, the ordinary things. The things people keep hearing because they are true, not because they are novel. There are 14 of them, and the first is sleep. If you asked me to choose the one habit that makes the others easier, this is the one I would choose without hesitation. Sleep is not idle time, it is maintenance time. It is when the body settles itself, when the brain clears what it does not need, when the strain of the day is paid for. A person who misses sleep is not simply tired. A person who misses sleep is carrying yesterday into today and then carrying both into tomorrow. Most grown people do better with a real night of sleep than they do with the scraps they tell themselves are enough. And regularity matters almost as much as duration. If your bedtime wanders all over the week, your body never quite knows what hour it lives in. Keep the room dark, keep it cool. Get the bright light down at night. Be honest about late coffee. A surprising number of people blame age, stress, or bad luck for poor sleep when the trouble began in the afternoon cup they forgot they had. Fix this first and you give the rest of your life a fair chance. Second, walk more than modern life asks you to. This sounds too simple, which is exactly why people underestimate it. Most people do not need another heroic program. They need to use their legs again. Modern life is arranged so that you can make it from morning to evening while hardly moving at all. Drive there, sit there, drive back, sit again, and then wonder why the body feels heavy and uncooperative. Walk through the day on purpose. Walk to the far entrance. Walk after supper. Walk while you take a call. Walk when you are deciding something. And one habit is worth naming by itself, a short walk after a meal. Not a workout, just movement. 10 or 15 minutes of easy walking after eating often does more good than people expect, and it costs nothing except the decision to stand up. Third, stop eating a little sooner. A great many people do not eat until they are nourished. They eat until they feel full, and then a little beyond that. The body is slower to signal than the hand is to keep lifting the fork, so by the time you feel you have had enough, you may already have gone past it. There is a quieter way to eat. Slow down enough to notice satisfaction before heaviness arrives. Finish the meal while you could still eat another few bites. That feeling is not deprivation. That feeling is restraint arriving on time. Eat more slowly and the body has time to tell the truth. Eat too quickly and the truth arrives late. Over the course of years, that small difference is not small. Fourth, make room for living foods. People speak about the gut now as though it were a trend, but the plain fact is that a body does better on a wider, livelier range of food than on a narrow parade of industrial sameness. Fermented foods can help here. Yogurt with live cultures. Kefir. Raw sauerkraut from the cold case, not the shelf-stable kind that has been made dead for convenience. Fermented pickles. Miso. Kimchi. You do not need heroic quantities. A small regular amount does more than a large occasional amount. The important thing is not performance, it is consistency. A body tends to respond well when the food entering it still resembles food. Fifth, eat more kinds of plants than you do now. Not more theories about food, more variety in actual food. Different leaves, different roots, different beans, different colors, different textures across the week. The body benefits from variety in ways most people never measure. A narrow diet tends to produce narrow nourishment. A broader table covers more ground without asking you to memorize chemistry, and this is the honest answer to many supplement questions. A person eating a wide range of ordinary whole foods is doing something no capsule fully imitates. You cannot build a durable body on convenience alone and then hope a bottle will negotiate the difference. Sixth, protect your muscle like you protect your money. A strong old person and a weak old person do not live the same life. The difference shows up in the smallest moments. Rising from a chair, carrying a bag, catching yourself when you trip, climbing steps without planning the effort first. Muscle is not vanity. Muscle is stored independence. The trouble is that it disappears when it is not used, and it disappears faster than many people realize. So give the body some resistance. Carry things, lift things, climb with a load, get down to the floor and back up again. If your days no longer contain real physical demand, you must add some on purpose, not to chase an image, to keep your own life in your own hands, and eat enough protein to support that work, especially as the years advance. 7th, get outside early. Morning light does more than brighten the world. It gives your body its bearings. Step outside soon after waking if you can. Even a gray morning outdoors is brighter than most indoor rooms, and the body notices that. Light early in the day helps set the clock that influences energy, appetite, and sleep later on. There is another reason as well. A life lived entirely under ceilings does something dulling to a person. A few minutes outside in the morning reminds the body what time it is and reminds the mind that the day has actually begun. 8th, do not let yourself become socially absent. People treat loneliness as though it were merely sad. It is more serious than sad. It can wear a person down in body as well as spirit. That does not mean you must be surrounded all the time. Solitude and loneliness are not the same thing. A person can enjoy being alone and be perfectly well. The danger is not aloneness. The danger is no longer being meaningfully connected. Eat with people when you can. Keep 1 or 2 relationships alive on purpose. Belong somewhere. Show up somewhere regularly enough that your absence would be noticed. Better still, matter to someone in a way that requires your presence. Being cared about is good. Being needed is better. 9th, get the sugar down and the refined starch with it. A great deal of damage in modern eating does not come from food in general. It comes from food that has been stripped, concentrated, sweetened, softened, and made easy to overconsume. Sugary drinks are among the worst because they slide in without creating much sense of having eaten. The body pays for them, but appetite often does not account for them honestly. And do not let your tongue fool you. Refined starch can behave like sweetness in the body even when it does not taste sweet in the mouth. So read packages with a suspicious eye. What matters is not whether the label looks healthy. What matters is what it does when it becomes part of your day, every day for 20 years. 10th, choose better everyday drinks. One of the easiest upgrades in a person's life is not dramatic at all. It is what sits in the cup. Green tea is a good example of an ordinary drink that asks very little and often gives more than people expect. It is simple, familiar, and usually better than the sweet alternatives many people reach for without thinking. I do not mean it as a miracle. It is not a cure. It is just one of those small everyday choices that quietly improves the average of your life when repeated often enough. Have it earlier rather than later if caffeine troubles your sleep, because once again, sleep outranks almost everything else. 11th, remember that salt does not live alone. People talk about salt as though it exists by itself, but the body works in balances, not slogans. One of the problems with a heavily processed diet is not merely that it brings a lot of sodium. It is that it often arrives with too little of the foods that naturally help keep the whole system in better proportion. Beans, greens, potatoes, squash, avocados, fruit, plain vegetables. These things shift the balance of a day in a healthier direction. So for many people, the wiser first move is not panicking over the salt shaker. It is eating more real food that came from the ground and less food that came from a factory. But if you have been given special instructions for blood pressure, kidney trouble, or anything similar, that is Dr. John's territory, not mine. 12th, give the body a little honest hardship. A body that is never challenged becomes delicate. A body that is challenged a little and then allowed to recover tends to adapt. That is true in strength. It is true in endurance. It seems to be true in much of life. Some effort, some heat, some cold, some exertion, some discomfort chosen wisely and recovered from properly can be useful. But the key words there are chosen wisely, mild, not extreme, brief, not punishing, enough to ask the body to answer, not enough to overwhelm it. People ruin good ideas by turning them into competitions. If you have heart concerns or other medical issues, then again, that is a conversation for Dr. John before you experiment with heat, cold, or heavy strain. 13th, if you smoke, do everything you can to stop. There is no elegant way to say this because it does not require elegance. Few habits take more and return less, and one of the saddest lies people tell themselves is that the damage is already done, so there is no point stopping now. There is a point. The body begins trying to repair what it can sooner than many people think. It is never foolish to stop. It is never too late for stopping to matter. And 14th, have a reason to get up. This one is not measured neatly, which is probably one reason people talk about it so little, but it belongs here as much as any item on the list. The people who seem to last best often still have a shape to the day, something to tend, something to fix, someone to call, a small duty that is truly theirs, a role that did not end just because employment ended. People often decline not only because the body changes but because usefulness disappears. They go from being needed to being managed, from participating to being entertained, from having responsibilities to being told to rest. Rest has its place, but a person can be over-rested into irrelevance. Keep a garden, watch grandchildren, repair things, help at church, feed the animals, check on someone, learn a craft that puts your hands back into your life. Do not retire from being necessary. Now, if all of this sounds too plain, that is because it is plain. And that is also why it is so often neglected. Look at the list carefully. Sleep, walking, light, simpler food, muscle, company, purpose. There is not much money in any of it. Nobody can trademark a walk after supper. Nobody gets rich because you went to bed on time, stood up after a meal, or became useful to your neighbors again. A person who follows those habits faithfully may need fewer exciting purchases, fewer complicated systems, fewer promises. That does not mean there is a grand conspiracy. It means attention naturally flows toward what can be packaged, branded, and sold repeatedly. Ordinary truth is harder to market because it does not feel new enough to justify a price tag. But the body has never cared much about what is fashionable. It still responds to the old rules. So do not leave here trying to change all 14. That is how people fail before they begin. Choose the one that is most obviously missing from your life right now. You already know which one it is. You knew halfway through this talk. Take that one and work on it until it becomes normal, until it no longer feels like self-improvement, until it is simply how you live. Then choose another. If you cannot decide, begin with sleep. A person who sleeps better is often more patient, eats better, moves more, thinks more clearly, and resists foolish cravings with less effort. Good sleep makes discipline cheaper. And I want something honest from you. Tell me which one you would choose first. Not the noble answer, the true answer. And tell me about the oldest person you knew well, not what supplements they took, not what theory they believed. Tell me what they were still doing. I suspect that answer will point to something deeper than nutrition alone. There is no hidden master key here. It is the plain life, lived steadily, rest enough, move often, eat real food, stop a little sooner, keep your strength, get daylight, stay connected, put down the smoke, let yourself be needed. If something is wrong in your body, go to Dr. John. If you are already under care, listen to Dr. John first. A good life does not come from ignoring medicine when medicine is needed, but neither does it come from searching forever for a secret that was never shown in the first place.